Unbiased Reveal channel. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to really cut through the noise and get straight to the wisdom locked inside our sources. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Peter. And today, we are doing a deep dive into the, let's say, blunt, witty, and really quite philosophical world of the late, great Charlie Munger. We've gathered some of his most sort of foundational advice on how to approach the market. And, well, a lot of it sounds completely counterintuitive, especially today.
It really does. Our mission here is to decode Munger's core belief, which is that the market is, well, essentially it's an elaborate character test.
Right.
It's not really about how smart you are, IQ points or whatever. It's much more about how emotionally resilient and, frankly, patient you can be when, everyone else seems to be losing their minds.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, here's the 30-second summary of the Munger's whole philosophy on this. He basically argued that most people who say they want to invest, they're secretly just trying to gamble, hoping for that fast buck without the actual discipline of waiting it out. So, success, according to Munger, it comes down entirely to mastering your own emotions, that resilience. Consistently avoiding just, stupid mistakes, and being deliberate and, let's be honest, incredibly boring.
Boring is the key word there, isn't it?
It really is. If you can pass that character test, he believed the financial rewards tend to follow.
Okay, so before we dive into exactly how to become financially boring, just a quick note for you. We have the best crypto referral link down in the description. So, if you want to explore that space with the best tools, check it out.
Definitely. Okay, so let's unpack this character test idea. Munger was, pretty brutal when talking about why most people fail, wasn't he?
He really was. It wasn't about missing the next big thing, the next Amazon or whatever. It was about internal failure, your own psychology. He had this incredibly sarcastic tone, especially towards anyone jumping into the market just looking for quick thrills. He warned pretty directly that if your main motivation is doubling your money overnight or just seeking constant excitement, the market itself will step in. It will, quote, educate you into humility and sometimes take your entire retirement fund on the way out. Ouch.
That's blunt. And it leads right into his sort of core golden sentence here. Investing is not a skill problem. It's a character problem.
That's the one.
So if you find yourself constantly thinking, obsessing, when do I make my first million? Munger basically says you're showing the exact impatience and self-focus that the market just loves to punish.
Your focus is just wrong. Your character hasn't been tested yet.
Exactly. Untested. And he had this, this perfect stress test analogy for readiness. We all feel like geniuses when the market's climbing 30% year.
Right, absolutely. Everyone's a genius in a bull market.
But Munger asks a really tough question. What if the market drops 50%? Can you actually handle that pressure?
And not just the numbers on the screen.
No, not just the numbers. If your portfolio gets cut in half, can your emotions handle it? He even asked, can your marriage handle it?
Wow. Yeah, that brings it home.
It really does, because investing isn't some isolated activity. It bleeds into your whole life.
Right.
And if you realize, honestly, that a big downturn would seriously jeopardize your basic peace of mind, or maybe even your relationships, then you probably haven't built up the necessary defenses yet.
So you're vulnerable.
Totally. Munger observed that most of the financial tragedies he saw over his long career, they weren't because people were stupid. It wasn't an IQ thing. It was because they were too hasty.
Too impatient.
Too impatient, yeah. Trying to get those high returns before they'd even secured their foundation.
Okay, so what's the first step then? The counterintuitive one that nobody really wants to hear about.
It's building what Munger called your survival capital, which is really just a fancy way of saying saving.
Saving. Simple as that.
Well, simple concept, maybe harder in practice. It's not about just hoarding cash forever.
Yep.
It's about creating a buffer, like emotional armor.
Emotional armor. I like that.
Munger really emphasized this. You need a layer of capital that's strong enough so when the inevitable crisis hits, because it will hit, it won't kill you, financially or psychologically.
So it gives you breathing room.
Exactly. It gives you the psychological space to look at a terrifying, say, 30% drop and just respond, okay, that's uncomfortable, but I'm fine. I have enough time and resources to wait this out.
Whereas without the buffer,
the market basically forces your hand. You feel compelled to sell or do something at the absolute worst possible moment, usually locking in losses.
So the big takeaway from this first part, and maybe a really profound goal Munger shared, is just this. Your first objective isn't maximizing returns. Forget that for now.
Right.
It's simply to live long enough to qualify for profit. You have to survive those initial tests of volatility and your own impatience to even get to the point where those massive compounding rewards decades down the line become possible. Survival first.
Survival is the secret weapon. Absolutely. Okay, so if impatience is the thing that gets you early on, arrogance is maybe the mid-game boss.
Yeah. The thing that takes out everyone who actually managed to save some money.
Exactly. And this brings us to maybe Munger's most famous golden sentence, the one about cognitive traps. He stated very clearly that the 3 most dangerous words in the entire world of investing are...
I know. Wow, that's a huge claim.
Isn't it? He actually went on to say that those 3 words, that feeling of false certainty, have cost people more money than war, taxes, and inflation combined.
That's staggering because it puts the blame squarely on your own ego, not, external factors.
Precisely. It just exposes the illusion of knowledge. And we see this everywhere today, right? New investors, they read a few articles, watch some YouTube videos.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. And suddenly you feel like you've got this unique insight into incredibly complex systems. Munger had a great comparison for this. He said it's like learning how to slice an apple properly and then thinking you're qualified to perform surgery. The confidence just completely outstrips the actual competence.
That's a good one. And what's really important for listeners to get here is that the market isn't like a school test. It doesn't reward confident answers.
No, quite the opposite.
It actively punishes certainty. If you are absolutely sure about an outcome, you've probably stopped looking for the risks. You've stopped being critical.
Right, you're blind. Munger championed this idea of true wisdom not being about knowing the most answers, but actually being the best at admitting what you don't know, cultivating what he called humble ignorance.
Humble ignorance, that feels very anti-modern finance culture.
Totally. And this lack of humility, this arrogance, it's the psychological engine that drives the classic "this time is different" fallacy.
Ah, yes. The eternal trap.
Every single bubble in history, whether it was Dutch tulips or railroads back in the day or dot-coms or subprime mortgages more recently, it was always fueled by someone confidently declaring, but the old rules don't apply anymore. This time it's different.
And we see this especially, maybe, among people who feel like time is running out for them.
That's a key insight Munger had. He saw younger investors, or maybe people nearing retirement, chasing those "this time is different" opportunities because, well, slow, steady saving investing just looks too slow.
Compared to all the hype you see online or on TV?
Exactly. It's not exciting enough. But the really cruel irony, the cruel reality, is that those who try to shortcut the process, who think they don't have time, they're the ones who end up spending the most time just recovering from devastating losses. They effectively reset their financial clocks back to 0 or worse.
So they traded years of potential steady growth for maybe a few months of excitement and then disaster.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And Munger's own victory strategy just beautifully flips this whole model on its head. When he reflected on his, massive financial successes with Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah. He didn't credit his genius stock picks.
Not primarily, no. He actually credited the sheer amount of stupidity he avoided.
Avoided stupidity.
That was his core competence, in his view.
Yeah.
The real wealth he built came from knowing which companies, which complex financial products, which trendy fads he just couldn't fundamentally understand, and then having the discipline to simply stay away.
So the power of saying no.
The power of saying, I don't know, so I'm staying out. If you really want to be a successful investor, maybe stop asking, how do I pick the next big winner? And start asking, which 3 or 4 popular things right now should I absolutely not buy because I don't understand them?
That's the Munger difference right there. Offense gets the headlines.
But defense wins the championships. In investing, anyway.
Okay, that leads us perfectly into the final segment then. The philosophy of boredom, which in a world that runs on instant gratification and, dopamine hits from our phones, Munger's demand for boredom feels almost radical. Maybe impossible.
It really is the biggest conflict, I think, between what works in investing long-term and just modern life. Munger stated it pretty unequivocally. If investing feels fun, you are probably doing it wrong.
Ouch, again.
True successful investing, he said, should feel like watching paint dry or watching grass grow. It should be slow, dry, and fundamentally lacking in drama. The drama is actually what costs you money.
And we see this playing out constantly now with people checking their phones, checking their brokerage apps like 50 times a day.
All the time.
People think they're being diligent stewards of their capital, right? But really, they're just addicted to the dopamine rush of seeing numbers wiggle up and down.
Absolutely. You've basically let the slot machine in your pocket replace sober, rational financial discipline.
Yeah.
Munger had another great blunt line for this, too. Anxiety won't make you rich. It will just make you old.
Ha, love that.
You are literally trading your peace of mind, your time, your youth maybe, for this emotional roller coaster that, statistically speaking, usually makes you worse off because it tempts you into overtrading, buying high, selling low.
Which ties right into the legendary Munger-Buffett core philosophy, those two famous rules that sound almost too simple.
Deceptively simple.
Yeah.
Rule #1, don't lose money.
And rule #2.
Never forget rule #1.
It sounds easy, but living it is the hard part.
It's incredibly profound when you unpack it. For the novice investor, getting high returns is the goal, right? That's what you aim for. But for a Munger disciple, high returns are merely the result. They are the outcome of successfully minimizing costly errors over a very long period.
So you focus on not messing up, and the upside takes care of itself through compounding.
Pretty much. If you just manage to minimize the big mistakes over, say, 30 years, compounding does the heavy lifting for you. It's mathematical magic, but requires you not interrupt it with foolishness.
Okay, so to make this defense-first strategy more concrete, Munger laid out a kind of anti-stupidity formula.
Yeah.
Some practical rules for avoiding financial ruin that, well, seem to be ignored a lot today, especially by retail traders.
Yeah, they really are. The first, and maybe the most critical rule, never ever borrow money to invest. Leverage.
Margin loans, things like that.
Exactly. Munger didn't see leverage as some sophisticated tool for smart traders. He saw it, very simply, as a tool that makes you die faster.
Die faster.
Wow! Because leverage is the market's way of ensuring that one single momentary lapse in judgment, one bad call, becomes instantly fatal to your portfolio. It magnifies losses just as much as gains, usually more because of margin calls.
Okay, so no leverage. What's number 2?
Number 2, stay far away from the herd. Don't follow the crowd. Don't chase the noise.
FOMO is powerful.
It is. But Munger warned, when absolutely everyone, from your Uber driver, to commentators on TV, is buzzing about the same exciting stock or crypto or whatever,
Yeah.
the smart money has usually already gotten in and is probably thinking about getting out. You're likely just providing the exit liquidity. You're holding the bag.
So the real opportunity is where? In the quiet spots.
Exactly. In the quiet, maybe even unfashionable corners of the market, far away from the media frenzy, where things are, well, boring again.
Okay. And rule number 3.
Number 3, you have to keep distance from your own emotions. Now, Munger didn't think you could defeat fear and greed. He thought they were just hardwired into us as humans.
Okay, so you can't eliminate them.
No, but you must prevent them from making your financial decisions for you. Your greatest asset during a market crash isn't necessarily cash, though that helps. It's the ability to remain still, to stay detached while the rest of the world is either screaming in terror or celebrating irrationally.
That stillness, that detachment. Which brings us to maybe the ultimate paradox here, the paradox of action.
Yeah, this is a big one. The market often, maybe even overwhelmingly, rewards those who simply do nothing.
Just sit there.
Just sit on their high-quality assets. Munger observed that most people would genuinely rather be busy and wrong-making lots of small, frequent, costly trades than sit still and maybe feel lazy or stupid for not doing something.
Because doing nothing feels counterintuitive when things are volatile.
It feels awful. But the investors who often look the most lazy, the ones who buy good businesses and then just hold them for decades, they're often the ones silently compounding their wealth into fortunes. They survive the longest.
So inactivity is a superpower.
Sometimes, yes. Strategic inactivity.
Right.
Okay, so let's try to summarize this whole deep dive then. Munger's core message, really, is that, true, long-term financial success isn't really about chasing the highest possible short-term gains.
No.
It's actually a byproduct, a result of mental stability, of discipline, and just sheer longevity in the game. If you want to win that long game, you absolutely have to learn how to make the market feel profoundly boring to you.
It's humbling advice, isn't it? Because it forces you to look inward, to confront your own character flaws, your impatience, maybe your need for excitement, your reluctance to just admit when you don't know something.
Exactly. And those things, Munger concluded, those are the real enemies, not the market fluctuations themselves. It's your
Okay.
reaction to them.
Okay, let's pull out two core takeaways from our sources today, those golden sentences to really hold on to.
Good idea. First one, maybe the most crucial. The three most dangerous words in investing are, I know.
I know. Got it. And the second?
Second, don't ask yourself, how much can I possibly earn? Ask, how long can I survive?
How long can I survive? Because that longevity, that survival, it's the foundation for everything else that follows.
Absolutely. So we want to leave you, the listener, with a question to maybe mull over based on all this Munger wisdom.
Okay.
Thinking honestly about your own personality. Which aspect do you think the market is most likely to test the hardest? Is it your desire for instant gratification? Is it maybe your fear of missing out, that FOMO? Or perhaps it's your confidence in areas you haven't truly mastered yet?
That requires some honest self-reflection, definitely food for thought.
It does.
And just a reminder, we do have the best crypto referral link down there in the description for you, so check it out if you're interested.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Munger's philosophy, please do remember to subscribe.
Welcome to subscribe to my channel and like this podcast so that I can continue to make more podcasts.